You're tuned in to Porch Talk with Rev Pat, where raw, real talk rules. So sit back and relax with that delicious cup of coffee or tea or your favorite glass of wine as Rev Pat delivers real, transparent, and raw conversations about all things life. Let's get started.
Welcome to your latest episode of Porch Talk with Rev Pat. So blessed to be with you this day. Well, you're listening to this. This is Tuesday, and on the porch with me, I have the beautiful Jean Turner. I am so blessed to have her with me. We're going to be talking real about patient advocacy, how to deal with your doctors, being real with your doctors. Let's not keep taking stuff not know. And I'm going to tell you why we say that. So grab your coffee, grab your tea or a glass of wine, and let's get talking. Miss Jean, I already told you about I was telling her, guys, about an incident where I got some new meds, started taking them, and ended up sick as a dog. I felt worse taking them than I did before I took them. And we were just talking about knowing how to go back and let your doctors know when something isn't right. So Miss Jean is all about holistic medicine, and she knows what she's talking about, which is why she's in this seat. Now, Miss Jean, let me tell you the other piece to this. While I was in that office and he started writing all of these prescriptions, y'all know when they get the pad, now they had a computer, and he's just typing. We're retired. I'm retired. So that means I'm on a set income, fixed income, that's the proper term for it. So we know that there are things that we just really don't go crazy with the pen, doc, because if you write something and I can't afford to get it, then we're going to have a problem. So he's just typing. Y'all have to be real honest with your doctors. So what I told him, Miss Jean, is if you keep typing, you're going to have to give me a job.
Ditto.
So he said, how fast do you type? And I said 55 to 60. So if you have a part-time opening, if you're going to keep typing, you need to be prepared to give me a job to afford these meds that you're typing up. And he was like, Miss Flowers, I said, no, you look at me in my face. I'm serious. Don't do that, because I don't want I don't want to walk out of here and say, I'm going to take all of these meds. If I cannot afford to take them, if I had to make a choice between my bills and this is probably not going to be on the list of my priorities. Sorry to say that, y'all. Don't get all up in my comments, but I was just being honest. So that is another piece to this, trying to take care of yourself and try to do things the right way, and knowing that you have to take care of yourself. But those meds were $254. That's with one of the little white cards that my husband uses, where you get a discount on your meds.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Before that, they were $500 and something.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. It is ludicrous. It's ludicrous. And we're living in a time to where many people are having to make the decision whether they're going to eat, they're going to pay their rent or what have you, or they're going to take these pills. Too many people are having to make that decision, decide pills or food, pills or rent, pills or my cost of living, and it's crazy. And I don't know if you're aware, you probably are aware that, there was this big fight in Congress because, insulin, one of the main medicines that millions of people here in the United States take for diabetes control, is just outrageous, right? In the cost. And now there's the discussion about capping a lot of these medications to make them more affordable. However, with that, part of what I do as a nurse for 35 years, patient advocacy is key with me concerning my profession. What a lot of patients don't know is you don't have to get the brand name of the prescription. Now, they will write a prescription with the brand name, but there are other generic names that go along with that you can get for a more affordable price. In other words, they are cheaper than the brand name. So that's one thing too, but they're not going to tell you that.
I'm telling you, this is ridiculous, man. Insurance went up. Last year, we were paying $15 for an office visit, $15. And I think for my blood work, it was maybe 15. I know it was. And I walk in there to do blood work. And before she puts the needle in my arm, and she goes, okay, so do you want to go ahead and pay now? And I said, sure. I whip out my credit card. And she goes, that'll be $85. And I'm like, $85? What are you talking about? It was $15. I get back home, call my insurance company. Oh, we changed your plan. So they changed the plan, altered the plan, took my doctor out of the plan where he was last year, which meant now we have a deductible that we have to meet, and it's $100 a visit. Who in the world on a fixed income can afford this? And all I could think about, and I know the Lord has really revealed to me that I'm part of the elderly group that I keep talking about. I am part of the elderly, but I'm really thinking about for real, those that really don't have the option. I guess if I chose to, I could go out and get a part-time job to meet all of the other stuff. But come on, people, who's going to hire me at 63 years old?
Well, but this is the thing,
But I shouldn't have to do that. We should not have to do that in order to take care of those folk that need the help. This is crazy.
That's the thing. Why should you and others have to go out and get a part-time job and do all these other things to be able to afford healthcare and afford necessities? And so, you talked about the insurance companies. We pay all this money years and over decades, right? We're paying into these insurance companies, and they don't even have, number one, the decency to inform us that they're about to make changes on the policies that we have been paying on for decades. That's number one. Number two, who are you to get to decide what you will and will not pay for when I've been paying into this for decades? I'll use the perfect example. Number one, you gave one, but let me throw this one in there. So number one, right? And I've done research on this. There are many, let's take cancer patients, for instance. Many cancer patients are now turning to complementary alternative modalities or therapies. Some are using them in conjunction with conventional chemotherapy, and some are doing alternative and said the heck with conventional cancer treatments. But they have to pay out of pocket, right? And that can run thousands, that can run 5 figures, 6 figures when you pay out of pocket. Now, if I've been paying, right, if we've been paying into these insurance companies for decades, why won't you pay for my choice? Why won't you pay for my choice? Why do I not have the option to choose my plan of treatment, my plan for how God is going to heal me? Who are you to tell me and dictate to me and take away my choice?
Well, it's across the board. I've always felt like, excuse me, if I'm paying insurance, this is how I see it, and I'm just crazy, just a normal average person. If I'm paying for insurance and which I rarely get sick, and I never get sick, but I have insurance and I pay into this insurance year after year after year after year, what the heck? Give me at least something back off of what I paid for you. This is like free money to me. This is like you're getting absolutely free money from people. Free. Because we have to have the insurance. Now we have to have the insurance. But if I don't get sick, if I don't use the benefits, if I don't even need to go and get see a doctor for a finger prick, you get to keep all of these thousands and millions of dollars and line your pockets and then turn around. Another thing, my daughter is no kids, owns her own company. And we were looking for insurance. I said, okay, you should be able to get pretty good insurance. You don't have any kids or anything like that. Well, come to find out, unless you work for someone, you can't get an individual insurance policy that doesn't cost you upwards of $500 a month. What are you talking about? $500 a month for insurance. You're being penalized because you do not work for a corporation. In order to get decent insurance coverage, mind you, with a company like Aetna or United Healthcare, or you settle for the other insurance and they fixed it to where the deductibles are so high. I was on the phone with her and I'm like, well, she would have to have a major illness to ever meet that deductible. Ever. She doesn't get ill. She doesn't get sick. Who's gonna meet a $10,000 or $11,000 deductible a year? And then I still can't afford to go to the doctor, or I can't afford to go to the doctor, and I can't afford just to have a cold or whatever. This is crazy.
It is.
This is crazy, which is why so many people, and now I know I'm more interested now than ever in learning ways to improve my health to keep me out of a doctor's office. And that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I'm trying to learn how to do something healthy so I don't have to go to the doctor, but I have to keep insurance so I can go to the doctor.
So now you can go to the doctor. Exactly. So it's like, darn if you do, darned if you don't. Yes. Okay. And in this day of COVID, right, which many people think there's no longer a pandemic, but shame on you, because we are still in the midst of a pandemic, right?
Well, they just had that on the news here and said, no, we're not.
Yeah, see. And so look, it makes you almost buy into these conspiracy theories. You got one side saying we don't have a pandemic, others saying we still in the midst of a pandemic. I believe we're still in the midst of a pandemic. So I'm going to roll with that, because all these different variants that keep coming out. But, you know, one thing I'm hoping that this pandemic has done is shown many that it is important that we do as much as we know how to do, humanly can do, to take care of our temples, to take care of these bodies, because we never know. We can be healthy. Look, I was healthy for 55 years, right? Not sick a day in my life, and then diagnosed with a malignant tumor in 2018, right? So all of those years, I didn't use my insurance, right? Except to go for my yearly physicals, right? But for me, thank God, for 25 of those years, I was in the military. So it was TRICARE. But believe it or not, we still pay a certain amount comes out of our check every month for TRICARE. So we don't get free health care, much to people's, unbelief. But anyway, yeah. We don't get it. But this is why. So it's two things to this. Even if you're healthy, you still have to have insurance, because you should be getting your yearly physical exams. And two, you don't never know what can happen. We can leave out of our premises and get into a serious car wreck and end up in somebody's emergency room or ICU. So we need to have insurance, right? But on the same token, it's like you said, you don't use it, right? All these decades. And I agree. For the years I was not using my insurance, y'all need to give me some money back. I should be getting, I believe every year, at the end of every year, just like, when you pay your mortgage on your house, but you get that escrow, I think every year insurance companies ought to be giving us an escrow.
They really should.
And give us an escrow check at the end of every year.
And I'm trying to figure out, why don't they? Why is
That's
it?
A good question.
Why don't they? Why are we just paying into these insurance companies? And I have nothing. I'm like you. I have nothing against insurance. I believe we all should have insurance. But if I don't use it, you ought to give me a percentage of that money back. Period. Period. That is just absolutely crazy. And then we reach this point, or at least some kind of way where, okay, we're just going to put this money in a bank, and upon your retirement, you have this fund that will help fund you, because then you get Medicare, and then you find out Medicare, you need another policy to back up what Medicare doesn't pay for. This is a no-win situation. And I have worked in offices where I had to verify insurance, and the worst call I've ever made is to an elderly person to tell them that something that they needed done was not covered by Medicare, or that somebody lied to them and sold them insurance that did not apply or could not help them. It is ridiculous.
And so you have those people that are taking advantage. They are preying on vulnerable populations like our elderly. But yeah, for years we thought Medicare, okay, we got our military retirement, our medical under them. My husband is 68, and when I retired from the Army in 2020, all his insurance, he had to go Medicare first, and then TRICARE is supposed to pick up what Medicare doesn't pay, right? Number one, why does Medicare not cover everything? And number two, you know what? Medicare ain't free.
No.
Many people think that's free because you done worked and retired. No. So it's like a no-win situation. And the pockets of these CEOs, of these insurance companies, CEOs, CFOs, COOs, whatever you want to call yourself, right? Their pockets are getting huge. Their pockets are getting fat. PHAT, fat. Like, the younger folks say.
The young folks say, y'all making y'all coins. I'm telling you.
They're making them coins. Insurance companies and these large healthcare corporations and pharmaceutical, all of them making their coins. And in addition, the government, because you know what? We talk about disparities, right? And people want to talk about health disparities, social disparities. Well, there's the political disparities too, right? Because policy makers, right? They can cut out some of this foolishness in the other two disparities, right? With different legislation and stuff, but they not. Why? Because they pockets getting fat too. Yeah, I said it.
Yeah, she said it, and y'all know it's true. We're not being militant. We're just being observant. This is just stuff that you can observe. If we pay attention to what's going on, if you pay attention to how hard they're trying to get rid of Medicare, how hard they're trying to fight to get rid of even paying you Social Security, which is not, people, please listen to me. Social Security is not an entitlement. Social Security is your money. It is your money.
It's your money.
You worked, they took it out of your check. It's just like putting it in a government savings account that they have been using whenever they needed to use it. And to tell you that they want to get rid of it because it's an entitlement, it is not. It is not like food stamps. It is not like welfare. This is your money. And they are controlling your money. I just have an issue with it. I mean, all of this and the being in a situation where I am now on a fixed income and realizing the seriousness of how all of this affects those of us that really are on a fixed income. And like I said, I've worked in doctor's offices for the majority of my adult life. And I'm sorry, y'all, it is horrible. It is horrible, horrible, horrible to have people come into these doctor's offices and think that they can get help and find out, oops, your insurance doesn't cover this. Oops, your insurance doesn't cover this. Oops, you're going to have to come in and pay self-pay rates because your insurance doesn't cover this. And they listen to people tell them that, oh, you've got this great grand coverage. No, it doesn't. And it's all just crazy. I mean, it is literally insane to have my husband call and say, I just got a text and your medicine is $500 and something. What? And really, I'm upset with myself because I should have, which I don't know if people know this. I don't know if you know this. Amazon has a pharmacy, and I compared the prices with the regular pharmacies, and the prices were way different.
As in much lower.
Much lower. And I wasn't thinking about that. And I wish I'd been thinking about that before we used the pharmacy that we did. And because I'd already gone in and put my medicines in and said, okay, let me compare what this is to this. So peep that, y'all. Y'all need to peep Amazon pharmacy.
Amazon
And
pharmacy.
you do not have to make a place of order. You can go in and put your medicines in and let them tell you how much it would cost for you to have your medicines filled through them. And
My
it is
God.
way lower, considerably lower.
But listen to this. You heard. I've seen it on a few commercials to where the government trying to get trying to put out some kind of bill or some legislation against Amazon to where we can't get our Amazon in 2 days or something. So they try to even regulate Amazon and our Amazon Prime. Yeah, it's been commercials. It's been commercials.
Why would you? Who cares how? Who cares how quick I get my order from Amazon?
Well, because they know now that Amazon is in probably in these pharmaceuticals show drugs from them for way for the low.
Oh, that makes sense because you can get it via Prime. You can get it delivered immediately via Prime. Wow.
See, we got to be
Wow.
paying attention. But people, look, y'all listeners, y'all, we've got to start paying more. That's why, because I couldn't figure it out neither. And really, I do Amazon quite a bit. I did not know they had got into the medication. I mean, like other than your herbs and vitamins and natural supplements, they've been doing that for years. And so yeah, and the government don't want us on that because that's taking away big money pharma from big money pharma. So they started, there's a whole several commercials about how they trying to legislate and cut out our Amazon Prime. Because number one, a lot of people are going through Amazon to get herbals and supplementations and stuff, right? Yeah. And now, since they have the medicines, pharmaceuticals, girl, yeah. I mean, excuse me, Dr. Reverend Pat, but yeah.
No, you're right. Girl, I did not know that. And I never would have put the two together because, I mean, I was just simply amazed. I'm like, well, I'm a Prime member. Mm-hmm. So they sent last year introducing Amazon Pharmacy. And I'm like, oh, okay, let me check it out. Really, I thought it was like a hype. I'm like, seriously? But no, I literally went in and put my medicines in. And I told my husband, look at how much more money I save. Mm-hmm. This is ridiculous. Why is this so different from them?
That's why.
And now they trying to get rid of Amazon Prime.
They trying to legislate it. Yeah. And I've been seeing the commercials. At least here in Georgia, they running them. Don't allow Congress to take away our Amazon Prime. Mm-hmm.
Okay, y'all, let's just have a real conversation here. Do you really think that it's that big a problem that Amazon can deliver in 2 days or 1 day? So what, you're going to get rid of them 1 day too? Because they can deliver groceries in 1 day too. So, I mean, we're just going to legislate everybody out so that we can maintain control. And y'all, before we go any further with this conversation, let me tell you, this has nothing to do with left or right, Democrat or Republican.
That's right. That's right.
What it has to do with is your rights. Your right to choose if you want to pay extra a month to get the things that you need in 2 days or the things that you want. Who cares if it's whether or not if you're willing to pay it, who has the right to say you can't get it because they don't like it? For whatever side of the aisle it is. It's just ludicrous. Now, the other thing, the holistic portion that you teach and you talk about, I'm just going to be real honest. Culturally, that's kind of like a topic that we would have more with the younger generation than with my age. Just plain being honest about it.
That's facts, though. That's facts.
Because we really, it's really, I was just interviewing someone else and we were talking about our attachment, our emotional attachment to food culturally, because it's just what we do. It's because, and I never thought about it that way. We associate food with family gatherings. We associate food with family, with fun. We associate food with it, which is why it's so difficult to get us, our culture, to transition into a more healthier lifestyle, because it's far easier for me to go and make some greens and sweet potatoes and rice and gravy and all of that and pile it on my plate and have at it than it is for you to tell me to eat a bowl of kale and a piece of fish. I'm just gonna be honest. Y'all know y'all,
Right.
I'm not telling, I'm telling on me. I'll take the brunt of it. So how do we get that? How do we move from that? Because really, truly, I know I need to do better, which is why I wanted you on. Personally, I know I need to do better. But also, I want others to do better, because we
Right.
don't have to go sit in. I don't want to be on pills for the rest of my life. I don't. I hate taking a handful of pills every day. And if there's a better way, if there's another way for me to do it, then I need to make the adjustment and do it. So how do you do that when it's a cultural thing? How do you teach that?
So the thing about that is that sometimes I think we try to do too much all at the same time. And so when I teach and coach on that, I tell my client that you have to just take it one step at a time and stop trying to do 5, 10 steps at the same time. For instance, let's go back to, your greens, the macaroni and cheese, and these different things, right? If you would take the greens, right? Start by eating the greens, right? And filling half of your plate with the greens and probably only a quarter of your plate with the thick mac and cheese, or a quarter of your plate with the sweet potatoes filled with the brown sugar. You know how we do it in our culture,
Girl,
right?
be quiet. You know how we do some sweet potatoes.
It's baby steps, Reverend Pat. It's baby steps. So, you start one meal at a time. Don't try to take every meal of every day. If you eat 3 meals a day, start with one meal, right? One meal of eating something a little more healthier, right? Start with 1 meal a day. Do that for about 21 to 30 days. And then the next month, make it 2 meals a day. Or maybe you just making it a half a plate a day. But we've got to stop this trying to just take everything in at the same time, because it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's going to take time.
And I think that's probably what happens, because I know when I made the decision last year to change, I got sick of, are you supposed to be that? Are you supposed to be? Don't tell me that. I don't want to hear you saying, are you supposed to be eating that? Are you supposed to be eating that? I know what I can eat, and I don't know what I can't eat. And I don't think, let me say this. I don't think there is enough that we do for our community to educate them. I think we do it in seasons and in spurts. 1 minute we're all about getting into our community and teaching our community how to do better and how to get off of this and how to get off of that. And then all of a sudden you hear nothing.
Crickets.
Nothing. We hear nothing. Last year before, everybody was talking about what? The effects of COVID on the African American community.
That's right.
COVID on the African American community, because of high blood pressure, because of diabetes.
Right.
They drilled it in our heads. Where are y'all now?
And now crickets.
Where is everyone now that was so concerned about our community during COVID? We have the same issues. We have the same disparities. We have the same difficulty getting our elders to their doctor's appointments.
Right.
We have the same issues with obesity. We have the same issues with diabetes. We have the same issues with hypertension.
Right.
Where is the education now?
Exactly.
So that when the next something comes, our communities are better prepared and better equipped, health-wise.
Right. But it's a continuous process, though.
Yeah.
So I tell folks, when during this pandemic, you had so many people that were starting to go to the herbal stores and rack up on elderberry and these different things, right? because we quote unquote, we're in the midst of a COVID pandemic. But
Mhm.
these are things we should be taking care of our bodies all the time. It's a continuous process, not just when something happens, not just
Right.
during a pandemic. So we got to get into the mentality, right? We've got to get into the mindset that our health and well-being is a daily walk. A daily walk. Sometimes we're going to do good. Sometimes maybe a day or so we're not going to do so good. But then we pick it right back up the very next day, and we don't beat ourselves up about, oh, I ate that, I shouldn't have ate that, or I shouldn't have did that, or I didn't go for my walk or my jog today. No,
Look,
you pick back up the next day.
look, y'all, do like me. Admit it and move on. Admit it and move on. I
There you
messed
go.
up. Move on. We're picking back up next week. At least I did.
There you
Now,
go.
I'm gonna say something that's really gonna get me in trouble, and I don't mind getting in trouble because it's my show. I can say what I want to say.
Amen.
We love to quote all of this about our bodies are a temple and this and that. We love to run that scripture in the ground. And we have churches on every corner in our communities, every corner. Why are we not holding health classes? Why are we not educating our community? Why are we not getting people to come in and teach our elderly how to eat better and what foods they can have and what foods they cannot have? And I know, Miss So-and-so, I know you love your sweet potato pie every Sunday, but what about if we just have one slice? That's it, not that. What if we take this and not that? Why are we not being as the church? I'm not talking about going and get other folk to come volunteer and come and work in our communities. I'm talking about the church, which is on every corner, which has doors open supposedly from Sunday to Sunday. I'm not disparaging any church. I'm just talking about across the board. Do what we can to educate our communities. If you're in those communities, why are we not doing the education ourselves? It's not just enough to hear somebody on a podcast, because the ones that probably need to hear it aren't listening to a podcast. They are not. Let's just be honest. So if y'all know somebody need to know this, y'all need to share this, or y'all need to tell them. But it is, at some point, it becomes the responsibility of those in our very own communities to take care of our elderly, to take care of dispelling all of these crazy myths that are out there about health and about taking care of ourselves. And yes, Jesus is a healer. Yes, but Jesus also had physicians in his day. The woman with an issue of blood had gone to all the physicians that she could. So let's dispel that.
Come on.
Let's take that out of our mouths that, well, Jesus is a healer and by his stripes we are healed. Yes. But one of his own disciples was a physician.
Come on, Reverend Pat. Come on here.
Can we just stop with this? Can we just stop with this? It is crazy to think that a God that loves us so much would not equip and gift others with the ability to help us take care of our temples and our bodies. Wow. So let's just throw that straight out of the window. And if you don't believe me, get in your Bible and you can find it out for yourself. It is scripture, period.
It's scripture.
Point blank. We need to do better. Mm-hmm. We need to do better about doing what we need to do to take care of our communities. You might not like to hear that, folks, but that's just the bottom line. That's the truth. We have a responsibility as servants to ensure that you all are taken care of on whatever level. If this is the way he uses me to do it, this is the way I'll do it. But if there's those that are on that corner on every block in every community, and you're worried about your community, and if you can go on TV and holler about how COVID was ravishing our communities, then now is the time to educate those in your community on how to take better care of themselves. Period.
Can I say something?
End of discussion. Gone. I'm off my soapbox.
No, but I want to comment on that. It's not a soapbox. That is truth. You are speaking truth. And so my comment to that is, I think that the church, okay, yeah, I'm doing like this, the church, right? We get so caught up in the spirit, man, right? Which the spirit is the most important. We are souls. Yes, we need to be saved. Yes, our spirit man need to be intact. However, holistic health, and this is what this is my background. This is what I'm certified in. Holistic health looks at the spirit man, but it also looks at the physical, the emotional, the psychological, the social relationships. It looks at the it's like 9 dimensions of wellness. It takes a look at the whole person, the whole body, the whole person. And
But why
until
would that not be a part of, why would that not line up with the body?
it should, but that's what I'm saying. It should. It should, but the focus, unfortunately, for many in the body of Christ is just the spirit man. That's my whole point.
Yes.
You got to look at the whole person, the whole body, right? That's like saying that the arm can function without the shoulder and the hand can function without the arm. Look, the Bible says, I wish above all things you prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. It should be simultaneously. You prosper in your health. God's will is that we be healthy and physically fit, but as our soul is healthy and spiritually fit, we try to separate the two, and there's no separation.
No, but can you? But can you? I really don't think I don't think I would be an effective servant spiritually if I'm not well physically.
You can't. We can't do nothing without our health. It sounds cliche, but it's true. Health is wealth. Ask anybody like me who finally found out what it was to be sick in 2018, right? Ask anybody who's ever been sick on their deathbed. We can't do nothing
without taking care of our bodies. We just sheep rows, but that's okay. We're going to keep. This is so important, and this is so vital to our conversation about health and wellness and being whole servants of God. It is not like Ms. Jean said, it is not just our spirit man. We have to take care of our bodies. When we don't take care of our bodies, we are run down, we are feel anxious ridden, anxiety ridden. We are likely to fall into depression. There's so many things that go along with not taking care of ourselves physically. And he does. He wants us to serve him in spirit and in truth. And if we're going to do that, then we're going to have to make some commitments and make some changes. Just like me. That's okay. I kept going. We're not cutting this off.
I did too.
The enemy is not going to have this day.
Not going to have this day.
No.
What I was saying is, though, we can't advance the kingdom of God if we sickly. We can, look, people want to talk about money and making money, and I know the Bible says money answers all things, but you can't even go out here and make your coins if you sickly. How you going to be about God's business? How you about God's business and you rolling up, and even if you can walk and you crippled and you walking around on a cat, all these different ailments, that's not even representing God as his ambassador here on the earth, because the world gonna be like, well, if that's the God you serve, I don't want no part of him, because look at you. You can't even stand up.
Now, John, this is just real talk. I know y'all not used, y'all used to this on this show. This is just real. Let's think about these things. And for those that are younger than we are, because let me tell you, bottom line, if you have the ability to hear something from the wise who have been there and done that, please listen. Don't discard it because it doesn't line up with what you hear out there in the world. This is important to me because I was like you all, somebody out there that is listening. I was you. I didn't want to hear this. I liked eating what I was eating. I liked doing what I was doing. I didn't want to hear nothing about no healthy, nothing. I don't want to hear nothing about no exercising. That's out. I'm not doing it until I went to the doctor last year and had a blood pressure so high that it was amazing that I was still walking. And the only thought that I had after hearing it was high blood pressure, the silent killer. And I had no symptoms, y'all. I had no symptoms. This is probably the second time you've heard me say this with someone on the show because it's that important to me. It's that, and you might not hear Miss Jean's voice, but you may hear from somebody else, or maybe you'll hear from somebody else. But as long as we have to address this issue, that's what we're going to talk about. Because I cannot say that I'm a servant of God and not address the issue of our health, period. Because it is just as important to me that I am able to serve as it is for you to be able to serve. And we're not talking, it may be drastic. Miss Jean, I think maybe probably we feel like it's so drastic because it's so out of what we're comfortable with. Would you agree with? And if I'm not sick, why would I do this? Right?
Right. I agree with you, but I am a witness because, again, I ain't never been sick a day in my life till 2018 when they told me they found a malignant tumor, right? So this is the thing now. Again, we don't know. I mean, God knows all. He knows the end of a thing before the beginning. We don't know what's up the road. We don't know what's down the road, right? But I am a witness that how we take care of our bodies during times of wellness, it does affect our prognosis and recovery. Should we find ourselves in what I call suddenly healthcare crisis, get in a car wreck, suddenly be told you have high blood pressure or cancer or something. How we care for our bodies during periods of wellness and well-being, it does affect prognosis and recovery. I'm a firm believer in that, and I witnessed that in my own life. Yes, it was the grace of God. Yes, he's the healer, but I can't tell you the number of times that the doctor said to me, had I not been a runner, had I not taken care of my body over those years, that those chemotherapy treatments that I was on during that time caused so much damage to my heart, put me in congestive heart failure. I went into cardiac arrest, had a 1% chance of living, and the doctors, when God brought me through, they was like, you like an anomaly. You an anomaly. They couldn't believe it. They said, if you did not take care of yourself and been in as good health as you was prior, and that's when the God that gave me the revelation that it is important that we take care of our bodies. And number one, we got to represent God.
Yeah.
First and foremost.
And we have to break the pattern of not being told to do better. You know, and it not that our parents and our grandparents didn't know, they did the best that they could.
Right.
But we're living in a time when we can learn to do better. We can learn to do it don't make the mistake that I did. Try to do it all in one time. Christine just told you, don't do that. That's what I did. I wanted to do everything all at the same time. And it became overwhelming. And I think that's why when I took my break, I was like, okay, look, no. Oh, here's the other one. Let's address this other one. Eating right is expensive. I asked somebody else about this today. That is one of the things, main things that people say now. Eating right is expensive.
Do you want the real answer?
Of course.
So, number one, eating healthy is no more expensive than these $500,000 weaves a lot of us get in our culture. Eating healthy is no more expensive than a medication that costs $500 in one pot. Okay. See, this is the thing. I'm straight no chaser. I don't pity pat with it. I tell the God's honest truth. It's about choice, and God gives us the gift of choice.
Now, y'all just take that straight no chaser. That was it. It's no more expensive than your weave. So, yes. You can either choose weave or health. Weave or health. And that's nothing against anybody that has weave. Nothing at all.
No, I'm sorry.
We're just posing We're answering a question that most people pose. And okay, so if the bottom line is, it is the truth. It comes down to what is priority and what do I want to choose? What is most important? Okay, it's like anything else. If I want to reach a goal, and in order to get to do that, I'm going to have to give up some things and sacrifice some things. What do? I sacrifice and give
Exactly.
it up. It's the same thing. If I weight and balance my health over my looks, if I feel like, and I'm sorry, I believe all women are beautiful. Yeah, all women have the capacity to be beautiful in and of themselves. We're all going to look in the mirror and find something we don't like about each other or something that we would tweak if we could get over it. That's not an issue. But we're talking about our health because for me, this is just plain old everyday cat talking. If there's not going to be, if if COVID ends there tomorrow, there's going to be something else. There's going to be something else. There's going to be another virus. There's going to be another virus. And if we don't start taking care of ourselves and our community, we're going to be hit just like we got hit with COVID. We're going to hear the same conversations we heard during COVID. We're going to be at the top of the list. People, do y'all hear me? At the top of the list. You don't want to believe it. Look at the numbers. It was our communities.
Mm-hmm.
And there are those who don't care about your community.
Mm-hmm.
Real talk, straight, no chaser. So if we're going to talk about this and we're going to discuss it, it's going to have to come from us, and it's going to have to start with somebody having a conversation about making sure that our elderly and our children and our young adults become aware of the things that we can do better. We can do better. I'm just sorry. I'm just sick of everybody else taking up the mantle for us.
Mm-hmm.
I
We've got to
mean,
take it up for our. We've got to start from within. We've got to start from within. And I love the question you posed because the church is supposed to be the hospital. I've heard that over the years, especially when I was growing up. The church is the hospital, right? We are supposed to be the pillar of the community. Well, look, some of the most sickest people. Guess what, Reverend Pat? They sitting up in church every week.
no, y'all. The reality is that during COVID, do you know that there were people that didn't even have insurance in the church
That's
that were
true
having
too.
that had to put up GoFundMe pages to bury
GoFundMe
their loved
pages.
ones?
Come on.
Are you
Yeah.
serious? The church, and again, we're not disparaging the church. I am a minister. I preach his gospel. I believe in it fully. The church is not the building. We're talking about the people within the body taking care
Come on.
of one another. It is biblical.
Amen.
Read Acts, it is biblical. The church grew because the people, the community that was the church, gave all that they had to take care of one another. This is biblical. This is not coming up with a new solution. This is God's formula. Let me just
Amen.
let me get off of that. This is just makes this is
Please
the
tell
things
it.
that we should be talking about. These are things that we should be discussing with our congregations, within our bodies. We should be talking about these things. And I'm telling you, you have those that are sitting right there within the body that have the expertise and the wherewithal that they could teach right within the body how to take care of yourself. Please, it's a matter of priority. What's important to us? And if we don't do it, who's going to do it? And we're living in a day and a time where we need those of us that are in the body, the church, not the building, not the address, the real church. It is time for us to stand up and take care of ourselves and insist upon it. I mean, is it going to kill you to go say, well, Pastor, I think maybe we ought to have someone come in and teach us how to eat better.
Come on. A
Go
health and
ahead.
wellness
A
ministry.
health and wellness ministry. Let's do that. We don't. I was talking to someone, um, um, the cancer, the hospital where people go to, the Cancer Treatment Center of America. You know what they found out? They found out that the people that came there came because there was no cancer ministries in their churches. No cancer ministry in the church. No health and wellness ministry in the church. How is that possible? This is an open door. This is an opportunity for us to step up. Those of us that have the voices, it's time for us to speak out, because if y'all believe COVID is over, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Variants happen. I know y'all don't want to believe that, but yes, variants happen. It's not something crazy or out of the way. Just because we are not talking about it, just because something else is taking the news all over everywhere, I can guarantee you are going to hear this again. I know why you're going to hear it, because everybody's out and about. Everybody's going to be going to football games. Everybody's going to be going to baseball games. Everybody's going to be going to basketball games. Nobody's going to be wearing a mask. Don't comment. Don't send me any nasty messages about masks. It is your choice. If you choose not to wear one, I am respectful of every person's choice. Of every person's choice. However, I am at risk. My husband is at risk. My father is at risk. I have family members that are at risk. So I prefer, it is my choice to protect myself when I'm out and about. Nothing political, it's just my choice. Amen. And when we start differentiating between taking politics out of taking care of ourselves, then we can start to move on to living better lifestyles. Would you not say, I mean, and I know I'm saying a lot, but it's because it's so important that we address these kind of issues with our with us, not with saying us. Anything about anybody else. This does not have anything to do with race. We're talking culture. Being truthful and honest about our culture. We don't deal with holistic things because we have to deal with mental health if we did. And we don't want to deal with mental health.
People ain't ready to deal with that. That's why it's still the stigma. And that's why so many people are still suffering in silence. And all we doing, we don't deal with it. All we're doing is telling people, you stay over in your little corner, keep it to yourself, don't talk about it. And that's the wrong answer. That's the wrong answer. And then we wonder why suicide rates are increasing, even in our young children.
Yes, yes. In college students, in high school students.
We've got to start talking and having these discussions. It is important. Oh my God. And you're right. Politics has nothing to do with it. We need to take politics out of healthcare. Politics has no business in healthcare. It has no business in our health and well-being. It does not. We've got to stop this. It is not about a political party. None of this. This is about our health and well-being. It's about being physically as well as spiritually, emotionally. I mean, fit. The whole person, the whole body fit to do God's will, to carry out his will here on the earth and advancing his kingdom and representing him as his ambassadors.
I just don't, more importantly, that's it in a nutshell. Mm-hmm. We're representative of a most high, all powerful God. And what would he not want for us is that we live life and live life more abundantly. You can't be abundant if you're in a hospital bed. You can't be, I'm sorry. An abundant life does not include me taking 7 to 8 pills a day. It just doesn't. I'm sorry. That's not an abundant life. There's got to be more to it than that. We have to do better. Maybe what we should do is go live and do a round table and just talk to people and answer questions.
I think we need to do that because we need to have these discussions
to help people understand what does holistic wellness mean. Understand truly the power that we have to take control on some level of our health. To the best of our ability, because we're all just human. The rest of it is on God. Period. Right. It's on God. Period. But at least make the effort to start taking better care of ourselves and better care of our parents and grandparents, and not just blow it off, older generation, blow it off as something that these just young kids are doing or whatever. No, this is really across the board. Generations to come, we make this difference now, then we'll make a difference for generations to come. So
Yeah.
we've got to close this out, but we're going to come back. I've already told you I want to invite you back to Beyond the Porch, where we have an even deeper conversation about the realities of healthcare, patient advocacy. And I really want you to talk about, when we do our next interview, if you would please just talk to us about how to become more aware as patients regarding our rights and what we can ask and how to ask. And if we don't know something, don't leave that office without knowing more about what's being done to care for you. That's all a part of being, that's going to help you a lot. And for those that are not nosy like me, that won't go Google it, get your young grandchild or daughter or son, and y'all start Googling the stuff that you're being given, and then take a look at how it interacts. You can do that. Google is free. Right. You can research it. You can research it all day long. I do it. I know my doctor probably thinks I'm crazy, but I don't care. I have this symptom and I didn't have it before I started taking this. So does this not work with this? Because I Googled it and it looks like this doesn't work with this. And I'm having this. No, don't call me in another prescription. Something's got to change. I'm not taking another pill. I'm not trying to get another pill. I'm trying for you to adjust this so that I don't have the symptoms. So we want to talk about that on Beyond the Porch. And if you all don't want to get real, and if you don't want to have straight with no chaser, please don't subscribe to Beyond the Porch. Don't subscribe to the Porch Talk on Zippy Stream, because we get to talk for real about real issues that are going to get you all where you need to be, with love and with truth. Never will I say anything or have anybody here that will not be able to back up what we say with truth. Absolutely. Right. We're not talking about no far-fetched ideas or whatever, period. This is all about truth and all about us all becoming better servants. Even if you're not a believer, I just want y'all healthy, period. Yes. You don't have to believe in the Jesus I believe. I'm still going to believe in Jesus, but I still want y'all to be healthy and living your best lives, period. Yes. That's it. Yes. That's what I'm supposed to do. And that's what I am going to do. So be on the lookout for it. Subscribe. The link is in the description. You can subscribe to Porch Talk on Zippy Stream via the link. You get the in-depth Porch Talk, Beyond the Porch conversations that are only available to you exclusively. And it won't be just Miss Jean, y'all. It's some other folk. And we're going to be talking about some real stuff. Some of y'all going to be mad. So if you don't want real, please don't subscribe. But if you don't mind, we'll talk. And look, you don't have to agree with everything that you hear here. Right. I'm going to say this before we close out, because this is a very touchy subject for some people. Healthcare, politics, whatever. You don't have to agree. But if you choose to listen, you may just learn something you didn't know. That's all we ask. That's all I ask every Friday. You don't have to agree with everything that you hear. But at least if we are willing to come to the table and listen, we have the opportunity to learn more from one another. So tune in next Friday. Don't know who's going to be on. Y'all just have to tune in to listen, but be ready with your coffee, your tea, or your wine. So blessed to have you with me. Embrace every blessing that is out there for you each and every day, and make a commitment to intentionally be a blessing to somebody else. See y'all next week.